14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into episode 27 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Of course, the Hometown Threads comes your way every Tuesday, 5:05 to 5:30. And then we pin it atop the page on Willimantic Today Facebook, usually Wednesday night, and they run through the week atop the page of Willimantic Today. This is where every week we bring in our local business owners, community neighbors, and friends, and they share a lot of stories. We got a guy right here who's probably got a ton of stories, and he's no stranger to the WILI microphones in this very studio. We'll get to him in just a sec. Big thanks to Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind, our fine sponsor with 3 great local locations, West Main Street, Willimantic. A little plug for the Gateway Commons branch. My wife, Marianne Gargoni, the branch manager there. Angela Smart does a fine job across the street, 679 Main Street. And, of course, the Mansfield branch, Route 195. Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you wouldn't mind. Say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Our fine producer extraordinaire there, J. Matt Rupar. And hello to the crew at Willimantic Today. All right, let's bring in our special guest, a man who needs no introduction, but he has a mighty long introduction for episode 27 here. Chairman of the Trustees at the Elks, former exalted ruler at the Elks, past president of Board of Selectmen, past chairman of Board of Finance, former, I can't read my own writing here, former guest host and sometimes still a guest host on the Republic Forum here on WILI. And also played softball with Wayne. Oh, wait, I got more. Let me pull up Facebook. There's more. I lost your page here. This guy just says everything. You call this semi-retirement?
Semi-retirement, that's it.
Hold on, I'm missing a couple other things here. Staff representatives at Connecticut State Employees Union, former chairman, former high sheriff at Windham County Sheriff's Department. Tom White is with us. Thomas White Sr.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It took 27 episodes to get me here, though.
Well, we're out of time. We just that's everything Tom's done. I just took up the whole show.
I want to make sure I get a plug. I'm also a past president of the Franco-American, which is the French club in town, too.
There we go. I forgot. So,
I got involved in a lot of things.
My goodness gracious. I thought, oh, wow. So, yeah, I'm sorry it took us 27 episodes, but you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
Now you see why it's taken us 27
He invites
episodes.
me, and I'm driving by. He goes, did you forget? And I put that, no, I'm almost here. I had to just turn around. I want to tell him I forgot.
Oh, we finally got him in here, and that is one heck of a list. And you want to talk about somebody who is, well, everyone knows who you are because, well, that list I just read off. And again, I'm being serious when I ask it this time. Is that semi-retirement?
It's semi.
Well, you're in semi-retirement now, right?
Yeah, I'm actually full retirement July 31st from my job as a staff representative in the union. I'm going to retire.
He's gonna retire.
Maybe do a little bit here and there, but the Elks and everything else keeps me busy. I'm umpiring for high school softball will keep me busy in the spring when that comes back up.
And you just picked up some electric bikes. We'll get into that.
Yeah,
so he's always
exercising with electric bikes.
Yes, how about that? And he's a neighbor of mine, so I always see him cutting his lawn. It was literally right around the corner for me. So we got so much to hit on. I'm sure you got a ton of stories, but it's finally great to get you in here for Hometown Threads, episode 27. Tom White with us. Let's start, as I usually do with all my guests, the early days. You are born and raised in Windham.
Yep.
Take us through that, growing up.
Yeah, no, my 3, there's 3 boys in the family. We're all born at Windham Hospital. The 3 girls, which I call the mistake part of the family, were born in Rhode Island, and that's where Dawn probably got her political part, But, us 3 boys were born here and raised in Windham, Willimantic, and, went to school here, love it. And I stayed here with my wife, met her in high school. They're going to have our 40th wedding anniversary come this October, too.
This is great. This is great. And your daughter's getting married next year?
Yeah. Surprised I could get the electric bikes.
I think you hired a pretty good DJ for that wedding.
Yeah, he's pretty good and well known around town.
April of 2024, looking forward to that. So, all right, so there's a connection, the Niles connection, right?
That's my sister. They just celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary,
Dawn
too.
and Lloyd, right?
And pretty much all of us married our high school sweethearts going right straight through.
Let's start there. You told my wife and I when we were setting up to do we did the Exalted Ruler celebration there for Patty back in April. We're setting up the equipment the night before, and you told us, let's just tell us that story on how you swept your wife off her feet.
Oh, I swept her off her feet. It took me 3 to 5 times to ask her to
all right.
you know, before she would give me a yes. You know, back, it's still today, I you know, even my future son-in-law came and asked me from my daughter's hand. I had to do the same thing. And, you know, you're not going to go until you find out if the girl's going to say yes, right? Well, I asked her, and she kept saying, go ask my father. Well, I'm not going to ask your father till I get a yes. So finally, I did it a couple of times nice, but the third time I just said, this is it. I'm at a gas station pumping gas. They said, either you're going to say yes or not. She says, I told you to go ask my father, but if you can't get it through your head, it's a yes, go ask my father.
I didn't hear this part.
Yeah, I didn't tell you that
serious?
part. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
So I got to the house. Now, it took me 2 more months to ask her to get married at that point because I was afraid of her father. So I'm going to the living room, and my mother-in-law and my wife says to me, to my father-in-law, Tom's got a question to ask. He takes me in, he puts me through the whole drill, and then he says it's about time. You know, my wife and I have been going with each other for 45 years. Like I said, through high school and through college, and then boom, here we are today. 3 kids, 5 grandchildren, you know.
Wow, what a story.
And we got, and she's, you know, like I said, she was from Wellington. Back then, Wellington, Canterbury, Columbia, Wyndham, Willimantic kids all went to Wyndham High. You know, we had 300-something kids in our class back then. So that's how I met my wife, was through, actually, music, through band.
That's right. Tell us the...
I saw her in her 8th grade. I was in the band. I was a freshman. I saw her come in. She still doesn't buy this story, but it's the truth. I saw her come in, sit down. She was with the Merrick family, and she sat down, and I looked at her, and I told my buddy that was next to me at the time, that was Bob Burgess. I said to him, you know, I'm going to get that girl. I didn't say I was going to get married. I said I was going to get that girl. I didn't know at that point, you know, but it took a couple years in high school, and we finally went on a date, and I went to take her home, and I couldn't remember her last name after I dropped her off.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and it got to summertime that year, so a bunch of us guys were trying to go out with girls, so I'm in the phone book looking for her last name, and I couldn't get it, so it took until we went back to school to meet up again.
You remember those days where you had to take out the phone book? The phone book came in handy in more ways than one.
You didn't have Facebook or any way to find them at that point.
I'm actually sitting on a couple phone books right now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, then like I said, we got married. We stuck around here. We liked this area, and then again, my parents were both civic people in town. They brought us, all of the kids, up to do something, whether it was doing something with baseball, softball, or getting into politics. So our whole family, and I don't care whether or not it's Rhode Island or here, we've all involved within our community. And that's how I got involved with politics.
Well, that led you just answer my question, because I was about to say, how did you know at a young age you wanted to get this much involved? But it was your parents that really said, hey, why don't you do this, this, and that? Because, I mean, look at, as I just read.
Well, I remember Gene Olivier, the Martineau, the whole gang there, you know, they all would come over to my father's house. They talked politics. Mr. DeVivo. I remember all of that, and you know, it was something interesting back then, and it just caught your blood. And I've been out for a couple of years now, but you never know. You never know.
And all that stuff in your resume, Tom White. Tom White's with us on episode 27, Hometown Threads on WILI and Willimantic Today Facebook, brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind, and all those things I mentioned. And there's a lot of stuff. What was probably, I know you, I don't want you to be, well, yeah, but tell us what was your favorite thing that you did or you enjoyed doing throughout the years? Any particular job on that long list
on the job front?
On the job front.
Probably when I was high sheriff, I actually really enjoyed it. Even though I went through a lot of stuff with that, I actually really enjoyed that. But being on the Board of Finance, I never wanted to be chairman. I ended up being chairman for 6 to 8 years on that board. It was it got you involved in understanding the revenue part of what comes into the town. So you dealt with the Board of Education, you dealt with the town council, any projects that were going on. The buck actually stopped there. And so, you know, each boards could decide what they want to do, but if they wanted to spend money, they had to go through the Board of Finance.
I'm sure there had to be.
I enjoyed that part.
I'm sure there had to be some headaches.
Oh, there was.
Times with that.
I had a lot of times where you didn't know what the state was going to do. we had passed a charter revision which gave the Board of Finance the right to decide not to have a referendum in May. One year I held off until July. Because
Wow.
the fact is that I didn't want to overtax the taxpayer. So at that point in time, we didn't know what kind of money we were going to get in from the state. We were getting promises and everything else. And so we held off before we put a tax bill out at that point.
Now, you're well known in town. You've had to make decisions like this. I'm sure you've probably run into people, back when you were doing this, that not only just weren't in favor of your decisions. How did you handle situations like that?
Actually, I most of the people that came and talked to me, whether they were for what I did or against what I did, were very kind. I never had anybody really screaming at me.
No big run-ins?
No, the one good thing I think in my political life in this town, I think most people knew that when I came to a decision, I listened to both sides. And then I came to the decision which I thought was best for the town. So, and I think that's what sometimes politicians lose, is listening.
Right.
You're elected, you're not elected for yourself, you're elected to listen to people, then make your best decision. And, I think that's what I did, and I was very proud every time that I ran. I was either the top vote getter or within the first two.
Jeez, who do you pay them to?
Yeah, I know. I had Democrats, I had Independents, and Republicans. I mean, it didn't mean that they've agreed with me 100%, but they knew that I was honestly going to look at things.
You're fair.
And be fair to everybody.
And it just goes to show you what kind of guy you are. And I'm glad to have you as a neighbor, too. So I really thought you were going to say your most favorite job was Republic Forum here on WILI.
Oh, that's up there, too.
Let's get into that.
I didn't consider that a job, to be quite honest with you.
Bro.
That was fun for me. It was a good 10 to 12 years. I started off to Harry and Alan.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Doing that show.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
It was Alan Giordano and Harry Carboni. They did the Republic Forum for, I don't know, how many years, Matt? I mean, it was probably, they went before you.
I
Right?
think they
started
took
with
off.
Susan.
Yeah, they took off after Susan and Dennis did that show, and then they took it over. And then Dennis and Susan made their own
So
show.
Alan and Harry were the original hosts for Republic Forum, and then all of a sudden, they took Harry. Well,
Harry dismissed himself.
Harry dismissed himself. We'll get it.
We'll just say it that way.
And then how were you brought into the fold?
I was asked if I could come down. Actually, your father, I think, gave me a call and asked me if I would be interested. And I came down, did a couple of shows with Alan. We got along. I knew Alan for years.
You guys kind of sound alike too. You did.
Oh,
Kinda.
now you're really.
Alan's on the Cape now, so don't
You know,
worry.
and then we did a couple of shows, and then Jeff Vians came in, did a couple, and then Alan just decided he was moving. I believe at that point he was going to move or be down in the Cape Cod for about a time. So
you and Alan
ended up giving us the show. So and then Jeff and I just ran with it for years.
So you and Jeff did it for what was it, about what 5, 6, 7, 8 years?
Yeah, no, we were probably a good 9-10 years.
Oh,
with
so
us.
almost as long as Alan Harry. Okay. Well, any
And
fun?
the biggest fond memory that I had with this show was that we had people listening to us. And the reason why, I think, is we gave both sides. And I always took the show as being a talk show and people called in. But you had, if one person was taking one side, the other one should at least take something a little bit different. And that way there you got
Absolutely.
into at least a talk show. And
Absolutely.
people called in. And we had quite a bit of people that called in. I think one of the times that we had the biggest calls that were coming in was Natchog School, the roof. When we took a position as host that we shouldn't put a new roof on the building and we should sell it. And we knew that at that point in the town where there was a business in town that was looking to buy it. But the school board wanted to keep it. The town council, we actually helped get about 1,000 people to sign a petition not to do the school over. There was no need of it. The middle school had the whole downstairs floor. And so we pushed it. And it actually showed how many people listened to our show at that point because there was a lot of people. The board just decided, the town council, that they didn't have to listen to the people at that point, and they just put it up.
Oh.
All we wanted to do was to have a vote and let the people decide. Because again, where we're at now, they're deciding whether or not to keep that school. So, 10 years ago, you had to keep it. But now we're going to decide whether or not we're going to get rid of it, and that's something we probably should have done 10 years ago.
The story you just told is just a prime example how local radio, like this unique situation here in Willimantic, can make a difference. That's a great story.
It made a lot of difference with me in politics.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go, and I'm being honest, I didn't have to go knocking on doors. People came to me. They heard my voice, whether I'm in a store or not. You're the guy that's on Republic Forum, and they would come over and talk to me.
How great of a feeling is that?
It was a great feeling, and I always said the radio show put me at a lot of times top vote getter in town with people just because of the show. And again, it wasn't that they might not agree with me, but they knew again that I would listen. And when you listen to people, there's times you would change. I went into quite a few meetings thinking I was going a certain way, and then a week before, just listening to people, I did change my mind because people. You represent them, and they wanted a certain way, and that's the way I went.
We're talking to the voice of the people here. Tom White on episode 27, Hometown Threads on 14 WILI, 95.3 FM. Willimantic Today Facebook, brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. So would you say, continue...
I was never that good doing that part.
Well, can I just tell you one thing before I come back to my next question is that, funny you should say that, one thing I learned in radio and taking stances, doing morning radio and all that, is if when you're interviewing someone, there could be someone just tuning in, and this happened to me on another station the other day. I'm like, who they talk? For the longest time, I don't no idea who the person was talking to, and it's what they call radio reset. So for someone who just tuned in, I'm sure. I mean, Tom's got a very recognizable voice. I'm sure they know Tom's voice because he did the Republic Forum for years.
Radio voice.
That's what. Yeah, too, he's got some pipes.
Yeah.
And that leads me to my next question. Continuing out the Republic Forum. The story you just told, I mean, you must have had, you and Jeff, and, well, the few shows you did with Al. Oh, you're getting a call there. You want to pick it up?
Don't worry about it. It says spam.
Well, we had somebody picked up a call live on the show. There was, Lance Ladd did it. It was his wife, and it was just a nice bit of the show. But I wanted to ask you, with that story you just told from your Republic Forum days, and I know you probably had other stories, was that the biggest one that stands out?
Well, it was one of the biggest ones, but we did a lot of budget votes that were in town. I think our show gave both sides of the budgets. We invited guests in, and we talked on both sides of it. And then Jeff and I either took a stance together or different, and we told people why. I think there was a lot of times when we had budgets that went up, whether they failed or not, was because of our show. And some of the politicians in town didn't like it. Because they saw that we could control a certain amount. I don't want to control. We could get enough information out for people to make a difference of an opinion what other politicians were doing. That's what I really liked about the show. Most of it was Wyndham Willimantic, and we talked about a lot of things that were going on.
Not just politics. There's always stuff to talk about.
I think the other big story that we had was the hotel hooker when Gene Dismay and them were trying to stop it.
That was another big one?
That was another big one that we had that was on there.
Did you...
There's a lot of different stories through the years. I learned that in an early age is if you want to change or get people to understand what's going... You have to teach them. You have to get the information out. And I always took the plug, whether or not I grew up as a Democrat. I'm a union guy. That's where I am. But I considered myself a very moderate,
very middle
sometimes
of the road, right?
Conservative person. I teamed up early years, I think on the Board of Selectmen, I teamed up with Sam Schifrin. And him and I were against, they wanted on Plains Road, they wanted to put the ash landfill and make it bigger in there. And the Board of Selectmen and the first selectman at the time was Polakevich. The town's going to make $1 million a year or something like this. We're putting ash from all over the towns in our place. And we just thought environmentally it was the wrong thing to do for that area. In our water stream that we have going down there. And so we took the stance against the entire board, and we won. I mean,
who's we?
Sam Schifrin and Wyndham, as far as I'm concerned, won at that point. And so that was a Democrat and a Republican working together. Yeah. I never looked at once you were elected, whether you had a D or an R or whatever we have independents, Green parties anymore. Once you're elected, you should be doing and listening and doing what you think is right for the town. And if the people don't like it, they vote you out.
Now, here's another, before we move on from the Republic Forum, see, I actually wasn't living around here, so I didn't get a chance to tune in that much. Did you and Jeff, I know you come in, that's great that you guys planned out, okay, I'm going to take this stance, I'll take this stance. Did you guys ever come in on a Thursday, by the way, the Republic Forum, Thursday, 5:05 on WILI, ever come in and you guys ever have a heated argument for that hour?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, that could probably go through.
I had people always saying to me, geez, do you guys talk after a show? Do you guys get along?
See, then you know it's a good
most
show.
Most people didn't understand.
They want to hear fights.
Yeah, and they didn't understand that, again, it's from my mother and father. People take stance. You have your beliefs, but you don't hate the other person or dislike them for that. Jeff and I had season tickets to go see the Red Sox games together.
Yeah.
We went to WNBA Suns games together, and people would see us there and go, "You two guys get along?" Yeah. We believe in different things in our philosophies, but I still got along with them. You just keep that off to the side.
Now, and I can't believe it. I knew this show would fly by with Tom White here because he's got stories. He's got a crazy amount of stories. I think we should spend the last portion of the show talking about your involvement of the Elks, and if you could touch on, because you and I both, well, I did the readings, but you did a great eulogy along with my wife as well, Lenny and Candela, who just passed away. So why don't we touch a little on the Elks and Lenny?
Well, you know, I belonged, like I said, I belonged to the French Club, the Moose Club, the Elks Lodge. The Elks Lodge, to me, has been my passion for a number of years. I've been an officer up there. We do a lot of things, whether it's drug awareness within the town or community events. We give away a lot of money to different nonprofit groups, and that's what I like. It's that one organization does a lot right here in Windham, and I wish people would really get out and go on Facebook and web pages, and you'll see what the Elks is all about.
I did. I
It's
went to
kids,
I went to
veterans, flag.
I went to cruise night last night.
Yeah.
What a turnout!
Yeah.
Oh, what a turnout!
So that's it. Now, the first one I ever belonged to, again, and I call it a club, was the North Windham Fire Department. I was a fireman at 16 years old, so were my brothers.
Josh is...
And my brother-in-law actually got us involved in it. When he moved to Connecticut, he was involved over there. And we just grew up in that stuff. And I became a president of the North Windham Fire. That was probably my first political stance because I'd had to do budgets with the town. Louise Granaccia was the... first selectman, and I remember that because consolidation came in, and I took a stance because I believe in one town, okay? Always have, and I took a stance, and I remember them having the, I'm trying to remember what newspaper was out in the Wyndhams, but Bill Root and them had this thing with Louise Granaccia as a witch, and on the spoon, I was on there.
Oh my God!
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You know, but that's probably where I really got into politics is family and then the firehouse that got me really going down that road.
What year did you get into the Elks again?
Oh, I've been a 30-year member this year.
30-year member.
Years.
Well, congrats
and probably
on that.
The French Club is probably more towards the 40 years.
Wow. How about
Yeah.
that? So it's 70 years combined. Yes, I can do math.
Yeah,
All right,
there you
in the
go.
last few minutes, a few words on Lenny Nice Guy and Candela.
Lenny, it takes a little bit more. Lenny was a guy that you could go up and talk to, and he'd always crack a joke back and forth.
Instantly.
But you were there. I mean, I got asked to say something at his funeral from his wife.
You did a phenomenal
And we were going to be going on vacation, but we stuck around to do it. And I just remember getting up there, and I looked at my pastor. And
Father Larry.
I asked him to please exonerate me from anything I was going to say because I had done some stories about Lenny at I think it's Provincetown but I actually first really met him.
That's unbelievable. Yeah.
And so I gave out a story in there, and then I turned around and saw David Forster sitting up there, you know, in the area where the priest all sit, and
On the day where he had a doctor's appointment.
yeah. And I said to David, I said, welcome. Thank God you're here at a Catholic church. That was always something because he was going to join the French Club.
Oh, really?
And we did Shabu. That's where Shabu went to. So Gary and I helped him throw Shabu for many years up there. And when we got him up there, David, we wanted to make him a member. My father knew his mother, and father knew his mother was a Catholic, so we thought he was Catholic, to be honest with you.
I never
And
knew
he
this.
was going through the system and getting sworn in that night, and we had to sit there and say, because we were a Christian organization, and we said, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And David says, hey, great man, but I'm Jewish. And all of us went, like this, dropped, you know, and David says, well, I guess I'm out of here, you know. But that was always a thing. David and I always laughed about that night. So that was that little tick back and forth from him on there. But guys like Lenny, guys like you, and a lot of people in this town wouldn't be what it is without the people that live in it. There's a lot of people that do things that aren't in politics and not in clubs that just do little things around town to make people feel better. That's what I loved about this town. And that's why we have never moved out.
And this is why I couldn't wait to get this guy out. I'm sorry it took 27 episodes. Thank you for not
Whenever
forgetting.
you need time, I'd love to talk about the Elksmoor and a couple other stuff. Knights of Columbus. There's another one. I'm a 4th degree member there.
We could go on and on. And this is one of the people that make our town go, and it's people like you that inspire me to do more in the community as well. Tom White's been our guest here, episode 27 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI 95.3 FM. And of course, Willimantic Today Facebook. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thanks to Liberty Bank. Be community kind. And again, big thanks to Tom White. And in the words of the great Roddy McCumber,
bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice. Or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.